These are the exercises for Futato, chapter 24. Begins with parsing. Okay, we'll go through our familiar parsing exercise. Now remember, this chapter had to do with volatives, so we want to be cognizant of that. He's actually, in these exercises, going to give you two parsing sections. This one's going to be about the volatives, so really focused on them. And the next one, it'll be a mixture. So jumping in here, we look at this verb form, and we've been asking, does it have a prefix? Again, we're going to go through our check down list. And aleph certainly could be a prefix. Do we have a discernible lemma thereafter? Yes, we do, shafat. So we would be led to think that this is a cal imperfect, but it's not a cal imperfect first common singular because it has a comet's hay attached to it. So we should know, again, first person, comet's hay attached. This must be a cal cohortative first common singular, not a cal imperfect first common singular, from shafat. Next one, zivku. Does it have a prefix? No, it doesn't. So we might be led to think, okay, then I have a perfect. Well, do you have a perfect or not? Well, the shurek ending, yeah, zavaku is the cal perfect third common plural, but guess what? We don't have za vaku. We don't have an a vowel here. We don't have a comets. So that's one of our clues here, that we do not have a cal perfect. We don't have an imperfect because there's no prefix. So what are we left with? Is it a participle? No, participles don't have endings like this, and you need an o vowel. Infinitive construct. No, of course, we don't have a shiva holum. We have an ending here. You go through the process of elimination, and zivku, the only other place you're going to have the u ending, the long u ending, is in an imperfect form, but you think, well, I don't have an imperfect because there's no prefix, and that's when it should hit you. The prefix has been lopped off, and so what I have here is a cal imperative second masculine plural. Okay, because imperatives are always the second person. So it's either going to be a second masculine or feminine singular or a second masculine or feminine plural. And this is plural because of the ending. Number 3, yeben. Does it have a prefix? Well, yod can certainly be a prefix. If it was a prefix, then what would the lemma be? It would be bana. But again, here's where it becomes a little difficult. You'd say, well, if this was an imperfect, a cal imperfect form of this third hay verb, shouldn't I have the hay here? Shouldn't it be like yivneh or something like that? Well, yeah, it should. And so what should trigger what should go off in your mind is, well, I do have an imperfect, and I know it's from bana because I know my vocabulary, but I don't have the third hay. The third hay must have dropped. And under what conditions? What would that be? What would drop the ending? Well, the answer is a cal jussive would drop the ending, because with third hay verbs, the third person imperfect form is abbreviated. It's shortened. So here we have a cal jussive third masculine singular from bana. Number 4, shave. Well, what do we have here? We got two consonants. The tsera here might make you think of yeshave, which would be good because yeshave would be an imperfect of a first yod verb. And what would happen if this was a first yod verb, yeshave, and you lose the prefix? Well, under what conditions? What thing would it be? What thing would we have if we have a verb form that lost the prefix? Well, we'd have an imperative. So we have a cal imperative second masculine singular from yeshav. Now, if you look at the form here, it really can't be anything else. It can't be a perfect. It can't be an imperfect because there's no prefix. It's not going to be an imperative because you probably would have this one at least down by now. It would be shevet. You're either going to have the segol tav pattern for your infinitive construct, or you're going to have the shiva holum for infinitive construct, and it's neither of those. So you can rule out infinitive construct. You can rule out participle because there's no o vowel. Again, do the process of elimination. What you're left with here is imperative, second masculine singular. Number 5, lake. Same thing. this is from halak. Remember, halak behaves just like a first jod verb. Okay, you just have to remember that for halak. If you remembered that, this one would have been easy, especially after that one. Number 6, nitana. Now here we obviously have natan. And with natan, the noon will assimilate into the t after a vowel sound. But then you say, well, if the noon's assimilated, what's the noon doing out here? Well, that's because we have a prefix. This is a noon prefix. So a noon prefix would be your cal imperfect first common plural, but you have a comet's hey on the end. Niktol is our first common plural paradigm example, and so we don't really have that here. We have this added comet's hey, so that again, that should trigger in your mind. Okay, we have an imperfect prefix, first person, in this case it's plural, with an added comet's hey. That means this parsing can only be cal cohortative, first common plural, from natan. Number 7, bakeh. Now you might be thinking here, because of the shava initially, that, I have an infinitive construct from baka. Well, what should your pattern be? It should be shava holam, or again, segel tav for your cal infinitive construct. We don't have that here. We have something else, so we have to rule out infinitive construct. We rule out the imperfect because there's no prefix. We rule out the perfect because we don't have these e vowels in perfects. Again, go through the process of elimination. We don't have a participle. There's no o vowel. So what we have here, you might think, well, if I had an imperfect, this would look, like we're in the right territory here. It looks like kind of what I'd expect. And so what we might have is a case where the prefix has dropped off. And the only time you're going to have a prefix drop off is when you have an imperative. So we have cal imperative, second masculine singular from baka. It's really the only thing it can be. Now here we have aid a. Do we have a prefix? Well, we might, because aleph can be an imperfect prefix. And if we had this prefix, if it was, what about the sera? An imperfect prefix with a sera vowel is a sure sign of what? A cal imperfect of a first jod verb. Again, this should be just drilled into your head by now. Again, I go through the same procedures for parsing, the same patterns. So that's correct. But then we have this comet's hey attached. That's a sign, it's a sure bet that can only be a cal cohortative first common singular from yada, first jod verb. Kaku, again, doesn't conform to anything. It's not a perfect. If it was a perfect, we'd have 3 consonants. It's not an imperfect. There's no prefix. It's not a participle. There's no o vowel. Shava holam. Nope, it can't be an infinitive construct. Again, go down the list. The only thing it can really be is a cal imperative second masculine plural from lakak. Now, lakak, again, is one of those odd verbs. It'll lose that first consonant. And here we've not only lost the first consonant, we've lost a prefix. Okay, so lakak is just a weird one. Lakak and halak, you're just going to have to keep track of those. Natan, again, they're very common lemmas. You got to know that they behave strangely. And here we have kit v. So the only thing that this is really going to be, the only time you're going to have hierarch yod at the end of a form is an imperfect second feminine singular. Yiktol, tiktol, tiktol, tiktali. But here we don't have a prefix because it's fallen off. Means we have an imperative. Cal imperative second feminine singular from katav. Translate the volatives. Okay, we know they're volatives, so we're not going to waste our time wondering if this is a infinitive construct. It's the exact form of an infinitive construct. So you have shava holam. But you're just going to have to remember now from here on out, when you have shava holam, it looks like an infinitive construct, but it might be a volative. Okay, it might be an imperative. Okay, In this case, we know we're translating volative, so we're going to treat it as an imperative. So number 1 is visit. That's what pakad means, so it's a command. Visit. Number 2, we have, again, prefix, first common plural, first person plural prefix with comma te. It's a cohortative. Let us cut, from karat. Yeben. Okay, you know it's a volative because Futato's told you this in the exercise. From bana, because this would be your prefix. The hey is missing, so it's a shortened form. It's adjussive. Let him build. Same thing for number 4. We have al, the negator. Every time you see al, you think, okay, do I have a volative lurking somewhere nearby? Because al is used to negate volatives. And our form ya'al. Okay, yod prefix from what? Well, Allah. But hey, how come there's the hey's missing? It's shortened. You should not be surprised because you have al right next to it. And that should telegraph this is a volative form. Well, a volative form that's shortened is adjussive. So do not let him go up. Now this would be, without the negator, it would be let him go up, but we're just negating it with al. Do not let him go up. Again, this is how you negate the the shortened form. Do not let him go up. Notice that it's not do not go up, because we have to bring out that volitional aspect to it. Do not let him go up. Do not go up would be second person anyway. And here we have a third person form. So watch your translation. Number 5, shilchu. Again, we have an imperative form with the u ending. Send, it's the masculine plural form. We have divki. Again, the heric yod is a dead giveaway for second feminine singular imperative. Cling, it's a singular, cling. We have a negated form here. Al, do I have a volative lurking nearby? Well, is arad or arada a volative form? Well, we have an aleph. Might be a prefix, and it really is a prefix. I know that by the tsera. Tsera under, again, the prefix vowel is a sure sign that we have an imperfect form of a first yod verb, but then I have this comma hey out here in the end. That tells me it's a cohortative. So do not let me go down. Again, it's first common singular. That's where we get the me from. 8, we have benu. Benu. Okay, it's not banu. Okay, we know it's from bana, but we don't have a perfect here. Instead, we have the command, masculine plural, build. Build. The long u ending tells us it's masculine plural. Number 9, tsa'u. We have again the u ending, the shuric ending. Go out. It's from yatsa, masculine plural. Laku. Again, same ending. It's going to tell you masculine plural command. Go. Go. It's from halak. Number 11, ta'as. Ta'as. Now this one, we have a T or a tav out front. Yes, that could be a prefix. What would it be? What would the lemma be? Asa. Well, no, wait a minute. I've got a prefix here, but I have an abbreviated ending. So, what is that? Prefix, abbreviated ending. I thought it was an imperfect, but the hey disappeared. Well, it's adjussive. It's going to be a third feminine singular. Adjussives are third person. Third feminine singular. Let her do, or let her make. And then al. Oh, I see al. Do I have a volitional form lurking nearby? Again, that should be your immediate question. We have a T, a tav, with a tsera underneath. Again, it's going to telegraph what? It's going to telegraph an imperfect form. In this case, again, we can't say it's a first yod verb. This is an odd one. We have our lemma is going to be abbreviated here. So we have from baka, do not let her cry. Again, this one is just an oddity because of the third hey irregularity, but you just know, you have a volitional form because of al, and so that means you just have to ask, well, what person and number is this? And since we have the retention of a prefix, it can't be an imperative, and it's obviously not a first person form either, so we've ruled out first person and second person forms. And so that means it must be a third-person volative, which is adjussive. That's all it can be. A third-person volative is adjussive. So do not let her cry. Translating indirect volatives. Indirect volatives, so we're looking for, again, if you remember Futato's content, we're looking for a volitional form and then a vav conjunction with another volitional form. Those are the indirect volatives. So, ketov, that's the command. It's an imperative. It's not an infinitive construct. I mean, it's the same form, but you could try them out. Let's pretend it's an infinitive construct. To write a book and let me read it. That doesn't make any sense. But if we treat this as a command, write a book, and then we have volative, vav, and another volative. We know this is, again, this would be an imperfect form because we have aleph and then a discernible lemma, but we have the comet's hay attached to the end, so we know it's a cohortative. So write a book so that I might read it. So that I may read it. Write a book so that I may read it. Number 2, benu. Again, the long U ending is going to be a dead giveaway, again, for a masculine plural imperative. So we have build, it's the command, build a house, vav, and then we have, again, we have a noon prefix. There's our tsera vowel, gives it away, of a first yod verb, yashav. So we know this is would normally be an imperfect form, first common plural, first person, but then we have this comet's hay attached, so we know this is a cohortative. So we have build, masculine plural, build a house so that we may live, bo, in it. Preposition bet with a suffix attached. Number 3, nizkara. Okay, noon prefix, discernible lemma, comet's hay, is dead giveaway for a cohortative. So let us remember the Lord. And then we have vav with another, again, noon prefix, discernible lemma. You'd think it was imperfect until you see the added comet's hay, then you know it's a cohortative. So let us remember the Lord so that we may serve Oto, him, we may serve him. Now Futato has let us remember the Lord Futato has let us remember the Lord and let us serve him. I think that's actually a typo in his book because you should be translating in direct volatives with so that. So I think he just goofed there, but anyway, that would be let us serve him would be a cohortative, so that's correct, but the translation of the conjunction and really should be so that, and that requires so that we may serve him. Number 4, Ya'al et hahar ve'yiben mizbeach. So we have Ya'al. Now if this was a comet's Ya'al, we would have a perfect form, but we don't. Again, here's where you have to be looking at vowel patterns. Again, I'll tell you when they're important, and this is an example where it's important. So we could have a yod prefix here, which would again be a third person prefix. You say, well, if that's a prefix, then I would expect an imperfect, and that means I should have if this is from Allah, I should have the hey out here, ya Allah or something like that, but I don't. What happened to the hey? Well, it's shortened. You're right, it's a third person imperfect form, but it's shortened, and that tells you it's actually a third person jussive form. So let him go up to the mountain, or go up the mountain, and then we have vav and then another shortened form, another volative form, so that he might build an altar. So let him go up the mountain so that he may build an altar. Number 5, tain mayim la vetesht. So we have tain. Again, this is one you're just going to have to remember. You'll see it a lot. It's from Natan. Notice, again, we have a dot in here, but here we could actually have a normal shava because there's no preceding vowel sound. And you might not be able to discern the fact that we have assimilation here, but be that as it may, tain is an imperative form of Natan. You ought to just memorize it as a vocab word. So give water, mayim, give water to her. So there's a volition, vav, another volitional form. Give water to her so that, and when we have tasht. Now you look at this one's a little harder because we have ta. We have a letter here that could be a prefix. And sure enough, we have a tsera. So that's a tip-off that we do have a prefix. But we don't have a first yod verb in this case. We don't yashat or yasha, is not a lemma that we know. It's not a real lemma. So what we have here is we have the imperfect prefix. The lemma is shata, to drink. And we have the loss of the third hey. So we have a third person form here that would normally be imperfect, but since it's abbreviated or shortened, we know it's jessive. So give water to her that she may drink. More parsing. We're going to have a mix here. So number one, do we have a prefix? No. Do we have a discernible lemma? Yes, malach. And then ta is the surefire ending for the kal perfect second masculine singular from malach. Yiv taku, do we have a prefix? Yes. Discernible lemma, batach. The yod prefix plus the u ending is kal imperfect third masculine plural from batach. Shilki, again, hirik yod. The only other place we'd see that would be a kal imperfect second feminine singular, but we don't have an imperfect here because we don't have a prefix. So if we lop the prefix off, that's what happens with an imperative. Kal imperative second feminine singular from shalach. Zovakim. The first vowel gives it away. O vowel, that's a sign of a participle. Im ending, it's a masculine plural participle. Kal participle masculine plural. Avod, we have comets, holam vav. That combination, will always be the kal infinitive absolute from avad. Number 6, lakak tem. No prefix, discernible lemma, tem ending, tells us we have a kal perfect second masculine plural from lakak. Number 7, tishma'u. Do we have a prefix? Yes, we do. Discernible lemma, shema, with a u ending. Kal imperfect, second masculine plural from shema. Number 8, shomeret. First vowel gives it away. O vowel. O vowel with a t ending can only be kal participle feminine singular from shamar. Number 9, nafal t. Discernible lemma, there's no prefix, nafal, and then t. It's going to be kal perfect first common singular from nafal. And we have tifkod. Again, this really matches almost exactly our paradigmatic form, so this should be easy. We have prefix, t, tav, and then a discernible lemma, with the o vowel here. So we either have a kal imperfect third feminine or a kal imperfect second masculine singular from pakad. 24e, translation. We have shema. And now that we know this pattern, this shava and then followed by, again, a vowel, can be an imperative, we should just sort of start reflexively trying that out, because you might be looking for an infinitive construct, shava holam, and you might wonder, well, will the guttural take an o vowel, or is the a vowel a sign of the infinitive construct? I can't remember. Well, again, just try out either, but I would suggest, especially at the beginning of a sentence, try out the imperative first. So since this is the chapter on volatives, that's what it's going to be, but we have either listen to or hear et divrei hanavi. So we have direct object marker, noun in the plural with a construct ending. We have noun, noun. That's a construct relationship anyway. So we have the words of the prophet. The second noun is definite, so that makes the first noun definite, the words of the prophet. And then here we have an adjective, yashar, which is definite, article out front, and plural. So which one of these is definite and plural? Because the adjective needs to agree in gender, number, and definiteness with the noun that it modifies. Well, here we have a masculine. We know it's masculine plural because this is the masculine plural construct ending, and it's definite by virtue of its linkage with the next vowel. So we have here listen to, hearken to, the upright words. Here's the adjective with the noun, the upright words of the prophet. Number 2, al. Okay, bells should go off in your head. Al, do I have a volative form lurking nearby? Well, yes, we do. We have al, then we have near a. So we have noon. Could that be a prefix? Well, sure. Prefix, that noon, that's possible. Discernible lemma, yep. So you might be thinking, I have a first common plural imperfect from yara. Well, that would be okay, except for the comets hey attached at the end. That tells you it's a cohortative. And first common plural cohortative, and it's negated. So do not, let us fear, or let us not fear, let us not be afraid. La leket. We have a lamed. This is going to be a preposition attached to leket. Preposition plus infinitive construct. Very, very common. We've seen a lot of those already. What's the lemma, though? We have segel, segel, tav. That's usually the first sign of a infinitive construct for a first yod verb. But here we don't. We have halak. Halak behaves just like a first yod form. So we have let us not fear, let us not be afraid, la leket, to go or to walk. El Beit Adonai, to the house of the Lord Hayom, today. Ki, for Melech Kol Haaretz Hu, for the king of all the earth, for he is the king of all the earth. So do not let us fear to go to the house of the Lord today, for he is the king of all the earth. Number 3, Hanashim, so the women. Then we have Dovakot. It's from Davach. We have an O vowel with the ot ending. This is a sure feminine plural participle. It's not definite because it doesn't have an article. So we wouldn't translate the woman who are clinging, just the women clinging. La berit. Lamed preposition. The patak tells us that it's assimilated the definite article. So the women clinging to the covenant, Here's that article marker. The lamed has just taken place of the hey. It's overridden the normal definite article. So the women clinging to the covenant, or the women are clinging, would be better because, again, we don't have an article here. We can't treat this adjectively. The women are clinging to the covenant which, karetu. Again, we have karat as our discernible lemma. We do not have a prefix, so we can rule out imperfect. And we have the u ending, that's shurek here. So this is going to be third common plural cow perfect. So the women are clinging to the covenant which they cut, or they have cut. Well, who's they? Well, here we have here. Imot hehen. Imotehen. Imot is mothers, plural. Ahen, again, this is a suffix that goes on a plural noun. Their mothers. So, which their mothers cut or have cut iman, with them. On is the third feminine plural suffix. So with them. So we have the women are clinging to the covenant that their mothers cut with them. Number 4, Yivrak Hana'ar hamotse. So Yivrak, there's our prefix yod from barak. So this is a normal Cal imperfect, third singular form. So we have, he by itself would be he will flee, but do we have a definite subject? Well, here in ha-na'ar is the boy or the lad. The boy will flee, but then now we have a participle. Ha, again, is definite article. Motse. So we have the O vowel, and we don't have a plural ending here, so we know this is a masculine singular participle with a definite article. So we have here the boy who found, or who finds, or who, something like that. Again, context would tell us how to translate the verbal. Let's just go with the boy who found et hasefer, the book. The boy who found the book. Me oyevav, this is from oyev, but look at the suffix. The suffix is the kind of suffix that normally goes on a plural noun. This is, remember, oyevim is actually a participle, but it begins to, it really functions as a noun. So this is from his enemies. Again, we translate it plural because of the suffix. That the suffix is a giveaway that we have a plural here. So the boy who found the book from his enemies, and then we have ha-chazakim. So we have here an adjective that's plural and definite. It's going to modify his enemies because enemies is plural, it's masculine, and it's definite because it has a suffix. Remember, any noun that takes a suffix, that makes the noun definite, because it's not just any enemy, it's his enemies. It's more specific, it's definite. So how would we translate this? Well, we wouldn't translate the boy who found the book from his enemies, from his strong enemies. That doesn't make any sense. We need to get the verb in here. So the boy who found the book will flee from his strong enemies. Again, that makes sense. Number 5, da'u ki lo teshavu al ha'adama le'olam. So da'u, again, the shava with the u ending, is going to be a sure sign, again, that we've lost a yod here. We've lost a prefix, which is going to make this an imperative, a plural imperative, the u ending. So we have here know, again, yada is to know. So know that lo teshavu. Know that lo, and then is this a prefix? Tav. Well, it has a tsera, so that's a dead giveaway. We have a Cal imperfect, a first yod verb, and yeshav, again, is a discernible lemma. Again, it's one we know from our vocabulary. So know that you will not live. You will not live, or you will not dwell upon the land, le'olam, forever. For avar tem, dead giveaway for second masculine plural, Cal perfect. For you, plural, have transgressed, you have crossed over, you have transgressed et mitzvot, et mitzvot, the commands of the Lord, and chukav, his statutes. Again, this is plural because of the suffix. The suffix, this is the kind of suffix ending that goes on a plural noun. So we have here, know that you will not live on the land forever, for you have transgressed the commands of the Lord and his statutes. Number 6, yakol nu. Again, yakol, clear lemma, nu is going to be a Cal perfect first common plural ending. So we are able, and then we have lamed, and then lakad. So the lamed here is going to be a preposition. We have shiva holam, infinitive construct, prefixed by a preposition. Again, very, very common. So we are able to seize or to take et hagiborim, hagedolim. Again, masculine, both the adjective and the noun are masculine, plural, and definite. So we have a modification here. So, excuse me, we are able to seize or to take the great warriors, ha-giborim, ha-gedolim, the great warriors, who shafaku. Shafak is to shed. We have no prefix. This is a Cal perfect third common plural. So, who have shed, et, direct object marker, dam, have shed, dam banenu. This is the noun ben with enu. Again, look at the form of it. It's the noun that goes on, it's a suffix that goes on plural nouns. So this is our sons. So who have shed the blood of our sons. So altogether we are able to take or capture the great warriors who shed the blood of our sons. Number 7, Ein hatzava oveh la'azov. Let's just start there. So ein is the quasi-verbal, again, this particle of non-existence. So there is not hatzava, the host or the army. Oveh. This is from ava, discernible lemma, but it has an o vowel, which tells us it's a participle. And the ending would tell us it's masculine singular. So remember, ein is used to negate participles. So the army is not willing, la'azov, to abandon. We have our prefix and then our infinitive construct form attached, shava holem. The army is not willing to leave or to abandon et, direct object marker, milkemet hakodesh, the holy battle. The army is not willing to abandon the holy battle. Number 8, nishlakha, noon prefix, discernible lemma, shalach, comets hey attached. We have a cohortative form, first common plural. So let us send et avde, direct object marker, avde hamelech, noun, noun. This is avadim, okay, plural, masculine plural, but in the construct, noun, noun, construct relationship, the im ending changes to sarayod. So let us send the servants of the king, el ha'ir, to the city. And then we have vav and then a verb form. Now here we have a volative. So we have volative. The next verb we hit after the vav, okay, you should be thinking, okay, volative sequence or indirect volative. So let us send the servants of the king to the city so that yivnu, so that they might build by it a house to him or for him there. So we have yivnu. You look at this, well, the yod, could that be a prefix? Yes. And then what would the lemma be? Bana, yivnu. Again, do we have a cal imperfect? Well, we've lost, remember, we've lost the third he. It's an abbreviated form, so we would treat this as adjussive. So let us send the servants of the king to the city so that they may build a house for him there. Hebrew Bible excerpts. We have bit ku. Again, you have the long u ending without a prefix. That should tell you a masculine plural participle. So we would have trust. Trust, again, a command to a plural audience. Trust in him, bet with a suffix. Trust in him, bekol, with all time, or at all times. Okay, 8 is the word for time, so trust in him at all times. And then we have shifku. So what do we have here? Shifku. And then we have lepanav, levav kem. Okay. Trust in him at all times. You might be thinking shed, okay, from shafak. We just had it a while ago. But that verb can also mean pour out. Like shedding of blood is the pouring out of blood. So you can translate this pour out. Pour out before him your heart. This is your kem attached to the noun levav, heart. Trust in him at all times. Pour out before him your heart. Pour out your heart before him would be better English word order. Deuteronomy 4:1, ve'ata. So, and now, Yisrael, and now, O Israel. Israel's being addressed, so we're going to say, O Israel. And now, O Israel, Shema, hear, listen to. This is a command. Okay, Shava. Again, we have what would be, if it was imperfect, it'd be Yishma, but we've lost, again, the prefix. It's not an infinitive construct. That wouldn't make any sense. So, and now, O Israel, hear, or hearken to, listen to, listen to, ha-chukim, the statutes, ve'el, and to the judgments, ha-mishpatim. So, and now, O Israel, listen to the statutes and to the judgments, lema'an, so that so that you might live. Chaya, to be alive, okay? So now, Israel, listen to the statutes and to the judgments so that you might live. So it's interesting here. We have here a volative, and here in place of the vav with a volative, we have lema'an, which means so that, means the same thing as the way we've been translating the vav in indirect volative sequences. Isaiah 2:5, lastly, laku. Again, we have a shava, abbreviated verb form from halak with the u ending, masculine plural, so we're going to have a command here. So go, and then we have a vav with another, again, volative form. Noon prefix, but comets hey added. So we have go, and you could either translate and let us walk, or so that, again, I put let us in here because Futato had that earlier, where I made the comment that to be consistent, we ought to just translate the vav so that, and so that's what I would prefer here too. So go, so that we may walk in the light of the Lord. And I just think it's more consistent to translate it that way. So that's the end of the exercises for Futato chapter 24.